All right. So how do you guys like the lecture this week?
I thought it was interesting. I feel like it definitely, this one felt, it like covered a different side of sociology compared to what we've been learning about. So I thought it was kind of interesting, but it was cool.
I also thought it was cool, and I liked how many movies and stuff we've all seen that he included in this lecture, or else I really wouldn't have understood, sorry, some of the topics if he didn't mention like Gordon Ramsay or Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yeah, I did like that he made it more personable so that we could actually like get a better grasp on everything. And I also liked how this lecture is probably the most relevant and also important topic that we learned about this week or this semester, I would say. So that was fun. What was your guys' favorite part of the lecture?
I would
Or is
honestly
that your guys'
say, I would
no,
say
say how
the Gordon Ramsay part. I mean, because I just understood it and it was kind of something I would already known about, so that really connected it for me at least, and that made it more interesting.
I would say the Holy Grail for me because everybody's seen that scene, and I've seen the movie 100 times, and I really understood it better from watching the clip and having him say what he thought about it as well.
Yeah, I also agree with Riley. I thought he got a good laugh out of it, so that made it more entertaining, and that definitely hooked me for a little bit longer. What was your guys' like big takeaway from the whole lecture? Like, what will stick with you, do you think, over time?
I think my biggest takeaway probably just talking about the government and the crisis. I think that was something that it kind of connected it more because like now that I'm learning about it, it's something that kind of brought it to my attention a little bit more, and I'll definitely think about it more when I see stuff on the news now. I think I can definitely connect it back to this.
I agree with that too, and I didn't realize how clueless I was about this until he made it or brought it more to my attention in a lecture video. So I really agree with that one a lot more as well. Paying more attention now that I understood it a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with both of you guys. I think the the references he made and just everything, like it'll help me pay attention more about what's going on in our actual world. All right, so the question we had to answer is the Supreme Court's handling of the Trump administration breaking the rule of law in this country? Is there a crisis of legitimacy in the US government? And I had the first part. Um, so to answer the question, I think yes, there is a problem of legitimacy, but from the videos I watched, or the video I watched, he they show like 4 or 5 clips of President Trump saying you can use Article 2 to do whatever you want as president. Um, it's kind of just like blatantly wrong. It's not hard to see that it does not state that anywhere. But I think the most astounding part of it is that there's no one holding him liable, and even like the closest people, no one they're not holding him liable to it. And even though he is wrong and people have called him out, he is reluctant to admit it. Um, so then I asked Gemini um, the two questions, which the questions were um, does Article 2 give the president the right to refuse to spend money appropriated by Congress? Uh, again, no, he's not allowed to do that. Uh, Congress has the power of the purse, which is stated in the first article in the Constitution. And in Article 2, it says the president is supposed to execute all law in the budget made by Congress. So, yeah, again, he's wrong and he has no right to do that as president. The other question was does Article 2 of the Constitution give the president the right to shut down agencies funded and established by Congress? Uh, the example was USAID. I think you guys have probably heard of that in the news or something like that. But no, the president is also not allowed to do that. Um, Anything funded and established by Congress is law. and like it has to be carried out by the president. It's not supposed to be rejected or denied, I guess, from being executed. Um, the only way he could get around that is if it was an executive order by a former president and he wants to eliminate it, or if in the in say like USAID wanted to if they told him directly be like, you need to shut us down, we're inefficient, we don't work, that would be the only like other possible way that it could get shut down. But on his own, no, he would not be allowed to do that. So yeah, that was my part.
All right, so
Um,
I was part two. Mine focused a lot on USAID, which is United States Agency for International Development. So kind of like outputting resources to help other people, more than minority in different countries and stuff. So all three of my resources were kind of just reading about that. So the first one was an article, and I kind of give a little overview. It provided like a full timeline of the history of the Trump administration and their efforts to dissolve USAID. And it kind of goes over how Trump and his administration tried to do it really swiftly, do make quick moves so that there could not really be much opposition to it. But he faced multiple lawsuits from the employees that were going to be let go when he cut these programs, and that's slowed up the process a lot because the judges have taken the employee side. So there's been TROs that have prevented the administration from cutting the programs, and that's really slowed down all the efforts. As far as reading throughout the timeline now, there's still in court cases going back and forth, but he still hasn't been able to cut all of those programs. And then on to the second article I read, which was talking about, it was more of a research study talking about the impact of USAID in different countries. And it was just talking about how much of a positive impact it's had from 2001 to 2021 on, saving people's lives and those that are kind of in a lower to middle class in foreign countries that don't have the resources like medicine or food or water, stuff like that. And by pulling out and, withdrawing these resources, it could contribute to a lot more deaths in countries that could be preventable, but we're just not giving those resources anymore. Um, and then the third one was an interview with a former USAID administrator, and he kind of just touched on all the key topics too. 300,000 people have already been affected by this, so it's definitely impacting a lot of people overseas. And then he dispelled the claims that the program wasted money, because that was kind of one of Trump's things was this, we're just wasting a lot of our resources and money, outside of our country when we need to be building it into our country. But that kind of overlooks the whole, like we're helping other countries and that can, come back to help us in the future. But he's kind of overlooking that. And then he's also, cutting what was it, the research programs, in the United States, Harvard particularly, and then some other high programs. And that, affects not just us, but the world with all of these different research programs are meant to find safer ways to do surgery and safer medicines. And by cutting that, you're not only affecting us, but everybody. And that was another big drawback from cutting this program. So I think that was all I got.
I had part three, and this is a video from the Ezra Klein show where he was talking to Kate Shaw, who was a former Supreme Court clerk, and she worked like on the in with Trump. Even though she's former, she had the opportunity to work alongside him. And this video is about the Supreme Court backing up Trump's power grab. And from what I learned was the Trump administration wants to keep everything moving fast so that the public doesn't have the chance to look at the more past objectives and really understand them as best the ability that they could. And this was thought to be the case early in the creation of the Trump administration. And the Supreme Court and the public sees Trump's authority as a dictatorship at the time. And then Kate Shaw says that Article 2 allows Trump to fire anyone at any given time as the power is vested in the President of the United States, which obviously isn't true. He doesn't have the authority to fire anybody who wants at any time. And the unitary executive theory is seen as the ability to hire and fire to destroy agencies so that the holder of the executive power can place whomever they want in that spot. And then third, I have, could Democrats do the same is a lingering question, like if they could be a president as well as Trump, I guess, in the situation. And compared to Trump, if they try to pass a bill that regulates campaign finance reform, that kind of strong campaign that many wish would pass is likely not to survive all of the challenges. And it isn't stating that the Democratic Party doesn't have that power. It's just they wouldn't use a strategy like Trump would. And last I have, there is talk of a possibility of a third term for Trump. And 6 months ago, this wouldn't have been thought to be the case due to the 22nd Amendment. And Kate Shaw says that it can absolutely be a possibility with how Trump handles things through politics now, just with the way that he just kind of does whatever he wants, makes the decisions that he wants. It is very much so a possibility when if another president tried to do that, it would be immediately shut down. But for him, this is a different case. And that's all I have for this one.
Nice. So to answer the question, what do you guys think? Do you think the Supreme Court is gonna handle the rule breaking by the Trump administration, or do you think it's just gonna keep going? We're gonna be living in this odd period of time right now.
I would say based on just my, the stuff I researched, it looks like the Supreme Court is trying to slow it down and kind of take it in front of a court of judges. But I mean, he's also done a lot of things already that most presidents would never do. So I don't know at this point. I think it's kind of just wait and see. I feel like for a lot of people that's scary, but I guess we're just gonna wait and see.
I agree with that as well. And I do think that the Supreme Court is almost a little bit too afraid to say anything just because he thinks that he has the ability to fire whoever he wants. So if they have the opportunity to step up and say something, it's just not going to end well for them. But I do think that they are doing the best that they can at this moment to try and put a stop to what he is doing.
Hmm. I agree for the most part. Yeah, I would agree. I just think everything is so polarized these days that it's kind of hard to tell. Are people just doing it because they believe in Trump and they love Trump, or is it because they're on the Democratic side? Like, I don't know. I That's the Supreme Court to me is something that should not be political, but it is definitely a fear of mine that it's getting to a actual political sides, and I don't think that's good. But there is definitely a crisis of legitimacy, but not much we can really do about it besides, I guess, vote. But I don't know.
I agree with
So
that as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with the part about, political parties and how that should not be affect the Supreme Court, but it might at this point. Yeah.
All right. Well, definitely a good discussion.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed the lecture this week. I know I did for sure. For
Hmm.
sure. But yeah, hopefully talk again soon. But yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Awesome talking to you guys.